Hi, I'm Kimberly Vance. Who says crafting is a dying art? I'm finding crafters all over the Middle Tennessee area who make unique items that'll be passed down for generations to come. Welcome to HandMade Tennessee. My special guest today is Mitzi Pierce, and Mitzi is going to be showing us some of the fine art of basket weaving. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Now, we're going to have a good time. This is really amazing. I cannot believe that this is what is involved in the baskets. We see the baskets around, and you just think, well, it's just a basket, it was whipped up. That is absolutely not the case at all, is it?
No, ma'am, it is not. There's a huge process involved.
I was shocked when you were telling me all about it. Now, tell us a little bit about maybe some of the different woods that you've used on some of these items, and maybe some of the different, you don't call them stitches. What do you call them? Reeds?
Weavers.
Weavers. Okay.
The reed comes from Southeast Indonesia, and it comes in various sizes, lengths, and thicknesses. And you can order, 7/8, 5/8, a quarter of an inch, an eighth of an inch.
And that's the width of the reed.
This is the width and the thickness of the reed that you get, and you can also order colored reed, and it comes in every color that you can imagine. You can also dye your own reed.
Wow!
So whatever you get, you just if you want to spend that time soaking it, and until you get it the color that you want. Now a lot of people do that. They have big vats out in their backyards, and that's what they will do. And they'll use just natural dyes like walnuts.
Wow.
And
that would give you a brown, I guess?
Yes, we'll give you a brown, and they'll put it in a vat, and they'll stick their stuff down in there and leave it for 6 months.
Wow.
And then they will pull it out, and it will be dyed the color that they want.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, how about berries and stuff?
You can use berries.
Wow.
Just about anything that nature has.
That.
Yes.
Oh, that's
it's amazing.
Else.
It's
most of the time when you see the baskets, they're the natural color of the reed or the wood, and I just assumed that because a basket had a color to it, that it was artificially made somewhere.
No, this is a stain. This is a stain. I have an oak stain, I have walnut stain, cherry stain that I put on these particular baskets.
How do you decide what colors you like? Just whatever
I feel like doing at the moment.
Wow. Now, you have made some of the absolute cutest things. Tell us a little bit about this piece. See, it's flexible.
It is flexible. These are very durable too. If they get dust on them, you can just run them under water and let them dry out, and they're good to go. If you think that they're getting too dry, you can just rub vegetable on them, and that'll put some moisture back into them. This particular one right here is a wine basket. This one is mostly for decorative purposes, but I do have some that I make with leather handles that are much more sturdy to hold. But this was a grapevine wreath that I put in here that I thought was kind of handy or
that
cute.
Is so cute.
So yes,
that is adorable. This is absolutely amazing. What a beautiful piece.
And you can get as decorative with these as you want to by adding different colored weavers of reed in there, different thicknesses, and there's just no end to the decorations that you can do. I know you've probably seen a lot of the Indian baskets where they have the Aztec designs in them. That's a little bit above what I can do.
Oh, I'd say that.
They truly do have a gift.
All right, now I notice this has got some of the color on it.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So you ordered the blue?
Actually, I dyed this.
You
I got the dye, and I dyed that.
Wow.
And came up with that color.
So
yeah, I wanted something really dark and rich.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful contrast.
Yes.
Did you have to do it in your backyard? Is there an odor to it, or
no.
is it just so you don't spill dye in your house?
Just so you don't spill dye. I did mine out in the garage in buckets, and put towels down, and there wasn't any problem.
Wow, that is really something else. I had no idea.
Yes.
All right. Well, what else do we have going here? I noticed that this is a basket that you've been working on previously.
Yes, this one has been one that I keep working on because I want my weavers to lay perfectly on top of each other, as you can see that these do right here. I'm having a little more difficulty because I'm trying to decrease up here at the top and bring this inward a little bit, and that makes it a little more difficult for it to lay flat. It will poof. I don't want the poof, so I keep going back and working on it, and I will get it finished one day.
So by the decreasing, you're going to actually close the top in?
I'm trying to pull the top in like this, and then it will have a smaller opening to it.
And then you'll put a rim or something
yes.
along these lines on that?
Yes, another
rim. That is really neat. Now, where do you get your designs from? Do you just come up with them in your head?
You can make them up, and I have made up. This wine basket is my design right here, but you can buy patterns galore on the internet.
Really?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And what are they called? Weaving patterns? Or?
Yeah, basket weaving patterns. Just Google basket weaving, and there's lots of free patterns, and some you have to buy. If someone came up with their own design, then they want you to buy it from them.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So you're using, in order to get the decrease here, do you have to use a smaller piece?
No, this is what I'm using for decoration because that's what this particular pattern called for, but it puckers, and I just don't want it to pucker, so I'll soak it for another couple of hours. There's a lot of soaking involved in this because the soaking in hot water is what makes this pliable enough to bend without breaking, so that you can create the designs. And
so it softens it up. Well, that makes good sense because this is pretty.
Yeah, it'll snap just like that right there. I mean, it'll snap and break. You have to have hot water, and it has to soak for a pretty good while.
It seems like it may. Does it ever splinter or anything if it's not soft?
Yes, it will. It will. It's very important. You're constantly soaking. I get wet. My pants stay wet usually when I'm making a basket because I'll pick the basket up out of the water, set it in my lap, and then I just get soaked. That's just part of it. That's
Maybe
just
a swimsuit would be in order.
A swimsuit might be in order, yes.
Oh, wow, that's something else. Now, how do you determine what size handles, if any, or?
That, again, is just what you want. If I wanted to, I could put leather straps on this. On both sides, I could put one that just comes across the middle. I can use wood handles. They come in all sizes. If you get wood thick enough, you can make your own just by carving it down. Sometimes I like to buy the handles, and a lot of times I like to just make up my own. You can even make cloth handles just by making braids, which my sister-in-law did, and made some beautiful handles for some of her baskets.
Oh, I'll bet that's really cute. Now, how do you put the handles on if they're not made of the reed? Do you just weave those in also?
There's an indention. I don't know how close the camera can get, but there's an indention right there, and it just, this reed right here just fits right in there, and then when you braid this, it holds it all in there.
Isn't that something?
That's not going to come out.
Wow.
That is not going to come out.
Looks like you've parked it right there and then just weaved it in.
And these will carry everything. I mean, they're good and they're solid.
So they actually are functional.
Very functional.
Wow.
Very functional.
Oh, that's something else.
Yes.
Now, you were talking about soaking your reed, and that is to make it soft, and that would go, I guess, with any reed that you use.
Any reed.
Is it any wood that you use also?
Any wood.
So anything you work with when you're basket weaving,
it has to be soaked. Yes.
All right.
And you know, the hotter the water, the better. But of course, you don't have to scald your hands. But you can soak it in cold water, but it just takes longer. So I always choose to do the hot water.
Now, let me ask you this. How in the world did you decide that you were going to take up basket weaving?
I found an article in the Southern Standard about a basket weaving class at Fall Creek Falls, and it was just $25. And I thought, well, now that's just something I've always kind of been interested in. I love baskets. I have them all over my house. And I thought, well, I'll just take my daughter and we'll go and we'll do this class. And went down and took the class. And was amazed at how easy it was. Absolutely
How long ago
amazed.
was this?
Oh, 10 years maybe.
Wow, so you've been doing it for a little while.
Yeah, about 10 years I'd say. Came home with 2 baskets and learned some pretty advanced techniques in that weekend, I thought.
So you made 2 baskets in a weekend?
2 baskets.
Wow.
Yes. And yeah, and they were wonderful, wonderful teachers. They were from Gatlinburg. I don't know. I don't remember the names, but it was a husband and his wife that taught us, and there was about 8 or 9 ladies in the class. And I've since just gotten on the internet, just from that class, ordered patterns and just made my own. Everything I learned in that weekend, I have been able to carry over and make whatever I want and design some of
Has it gotten more advanced, like with any kind of crafting? Have you gotten more advanced in your techniques and stuff as you've gone on?
I think I have with my handles. I have a braided handle. I'm not sure what we did with that one. I have a braided handle that This one right here, I'm sorry.
That's our, oh yeah.
This I have learned, I did not master this in the class that we took, but my daughter did. She picked up right on it, and I have since learned how to do this technique.
Wow, so this is actually braided. Like
This is braided on,
braided.
and yes, with very long, because you have to have one long piece to get all the way around, because you don't want to have to stop in the middle.
Right.
You can't. So you're working with reed that's 6 feet long at least.
Oh wow.
And there's about 4 or 5 pieces that you're working with at a time to make this design.
Goodness gracious. Now, did this handle take you as long to make as it did the basket?
The first one probably did.
Wow.
Just because I wanted to make sure I had it right. You know, I was looking at my directions. But I can pretty much do it now and it not take as long.
Because you know more about it, I guess.
Yeah,
and
there's, you know, the more practice.
all
the
right,
better
are
you
you able though, in case you did accidentally have breakage or your piece wasn't long enough, do you have to restart the whole thing?
No, I've
Can you add
learned
on?
techniques to add
Okay.
on. Yeah, most
All right.
definitely. Most
Oh,
definitely.
that's good.
Yeah,
That's
you
good.
have to.
I started to say you'd hate to scrap
You
your
don't want to
own.
take it out.
Yeah, that would be
Definitely.
awful.
Yes.
Did you dye this also?
No, this I bought.
That is beautiful.
This I bought, and
Now, was this one of your first baskets, did you say?
this was one of my very first. Yes, it was. It sure was. So
it's sentimental to you.
This one is sentimental, and I keep this one at home, and I use this one. I have sold, I don't know how many. And they've made wonderful Christmas gifts, and like you say, it's pretty and it's functional.
Yeah.
So, and everybody needs baskets in their house, and they want baskets. So,
Yeah.
and it's nice. You can go to Walmart and buy a little basket, which is fine, but those are mass-produced, and it's nice to have one that you know was handmade, and you know the person that handmade or hand wove the basket.
Well, and two, you know that it's going to last you.
Yeah, absolutely.
This will last forever. You'll be
It
able to
will.
pass this down for a long time,
Yes,
won't you?
I sure will.
Oh, that's neat. You were talking, it's funny, you said this is one of your baskets, and could I spot the boo-boos? No, no boo-boos.
I've covered them up well.
They look fantastic.
Yes.
All right, now what determines what size? When do you decide, you know, I'm going to make a small something or I'm going to make a large something?
It just depends on what my purpose is. You know, am I wanting it to put a quilt in? Am I wanting it just to fill a space on a mantle? Or am I just wanting to try out a new pattern? You know,
Right.
it just depends. There's no certain rhyme or reason as to why I choose what I choose.
That's neat. Now, do you have to have a lot of tools?
No, actually you don't. The tools that I use, this one has gotten really dull, but this is a reed cutter, and it's gotten very dull, so I've just got some really handy dandy thick scissors that I use, a knife just to shave the reed sometimes if I need to, clothespins to hold my reed in position as I'm weaving, and then I use these little clips to hold it because this really has a good tight grip on it, and hemostats. Sometimes the reed will get really stubborn and you can't pull it through, so hemostats will grab it and pull it on through.
So it's kind of like a tweezer of sorts
Yes.
to help pull that through.
Yes.
You started to say something about this basket.
I was just going to say that this is a miniature egg basket, and this is probably one of my favorites right here. I've had a lot of people want to buy this, and I've had some nice offers, but I've just chosen to keep this one, and I dearly love this one.
That's cute.
So,
now, did you stain this also?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes,
and
I
this
did.
has a shine to it. Is there
It does
a finish
have
on it?
the finish, just from the stain.
Really?
Yes.
So you don't
And-
have like a shellac or something on it?
No, no.
Wow,
And
they're
this
so
is a
beautiful.
God's eye that I wove on the side of the basket here, which I thought was really fun once I learned how to do that. This one's a better, once,
Oh,
you know,
wow,
the more
yeah.
you do, of course, the better you get. That's a melon basket,
Oh, neat. A miniature?
miniature, yeah.
Put some oranges or maybe cantaloupe or something
A
in it.
small one, yes, you could. This is, again, is another miniature melon basket. I don't know of other than one egg that you could get in here.
Those are
This is
adorable.
made so that the eggs fall down to the side here, and then as you're walking, they're not going to bump against each other and crack.
You know what?
So-
I've seen baskets like this all my life, and I had no idea that they were egg baskets.
And they're, yeah, and some of them are huge and they're beautiful. They're just beautiful.
Wow.
So, and you, of course, you can make these big enough to fit an actual melon. And then there's a potato basket that's a little bit different. And I don't have that one with me today. My sister-in-law makes beautiful ones, but they have handles on the side. So, and I don't know why that is, but their handles are on the side.
And are they, are any of the baskets, is it necessary at times for it to be like a 2-ply, or is the durability?
Oh no, the durability's there.
Is
Just
there,
with the single
regardless.
reed, yes.
Wow.
It is there. It's there, it's going to stay.
Wow.
It's going to stay.
That's amazing, because I would be afraid I was going to bust the bottom out of it or something.
No, I don't think you can.
Not gonna happen.
I don't think you can. And I have carried lots of baskets around and put lots of stuff, and I find that I can just add more and more stuff in there, and it'll hold it,
every
time.
It.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, did you teach yourself this technique?
I did teach myself the God's Eye, but I had a book that had pictures of how to do it. So, but no one specifically showed me how I did that one on my own.
That is so intricate. You were talking about how you like working with the little, the little miniature items.
The more tedious it is, the more I like doing it.
Wow. Now, how long would a project like this take you?
That would probably take a couple of days.
Wow.
Because you have to soak the reed. You have to soak, and it just takes time sitting there. If I had nothing else to do, it could sit there. I could probably do it in a day. But you know, there's the dishwasher goes off or the laundry goes off, and phone rings, just too many interruptions. But I could probably sit and do one in a day, but it would take all day long. I mean, it would be an all-day process.
Wow, from the time you got up till the time you went to bed.
Yes, because you have to cut your reed, you have to measure the length that you need your weavers and your stakes to be, and that takes a while, just measuring it, because some of the weavers come 12 feet long. So you've got to sit there and measure those out. Then you have to soak them, and that takes a while. And then you get in the process of making the basket, then you have to re-soak. So lots of soaking going on throughout the day where you just have to wait and let it just soak.
Hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait.
I love that.
Exactly. That's right.
All right. How long, when you started this basket, how long were your reeds? See, because you would figure, not knowing anything about it, you figured you had, you know, a little sweet little pile of reeds here to make this little basket.
No, this was probably 3 or 4 reeds that probably 12 feet at least.
12 feet?
Yes, at least. And so weaving all of that, you've got all that reed that you have to handle and deal with.
Oh my goodness.
And, but like you say, if you soak it, it's a lot easier to work with.
So you were working with a 12-foot piece of reed on that?
Yes, ma'am. Sure was.
Goodness gracious, that is amazing. Now, where in the world do you have all the space to do this? I imagine you have to clear everybody out.
I have a craft room. For a while, I did it in the basement, and now I've done it in my garage. I've done it in my living room. If I wanted to watch a movie while no one was home, I would set up my basket stuff in the living room and put towels down on the floor. You can do it anywhere. You can do it outside.
As long as you've got the space.
As long as you have the space and the water and you don't mind cleaning up afterwards.
Yeah, that's a lot of it, isn't it? All right, now, a basket this size, would you also be working with 12-foot reeds? The
longer you get, the better.
Okay.
The longer you get, because you do not want to get halfway around or 3/4 the way around and come to an end, because then you have to get a new one and get it in there so that nobody can see it. And you want it to look as though it's one reed all the way around. So you try to pick out your longest reeds and work with those.
Okay.
But you can, because they are going to break if you don't soak them well enough. And when they break, there's a technique that you can use where you can slide another one in. You know, I can repair baskets, but I don't do that. I can, but I don't, because I don't have the stains that usually will match up with the original color. But you can repair baskets by placing in a new weaver.
That's
sure
interesting.
Can, yes.
All right, now, for a basket like this, I like to call this the picnic basket weave, because that's what it reminds me of.
That's what it looks like. We did this in kindergarten. Everybody did that when they made the little placemats. They had the little red and the green strips that they cut out of construction paper, and over and under, over and under. So weaving is something that we all
Yes, everyone can do this.
It is just over and under. It's over a stake, under a stake.
Now, do you work with 2 reeds? Do you have one going around and one going over?
No, we have the base, the ones coming up. You do that part first. This one has been soaking, and this one has a handle. And so these are, I knew that this was the length that I needed right here to make it the height that I wanted it. So you just weave your pattern right here, and the bottom of this handle base counts as one of the stakes. These are called the stakes. And then you upset the stakes by measuring how you square off the base, how square you want it.
Now, is this the size that
the bottom is going to be?
Okay.
Now, the top will come out just a little bit. And then you upset the spokes by bending them over like this. And you can see right there, if it's not soaked, it's going to snap. So you have to really soak those well.
Wow.
And then you have weavers that you weave with. And you can see This is a pretty good one right here, but it's not the longest one that I've got in there. And with this reed, there is a smooth side and there's a rough side. And you have to run your fingers over it to feel the difference. If you feel right there, you can feel how rough that is. This
is that the case with all reeds?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a right side and a wrong side, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
And so you want the smooth side on the outside. And so you will start by going in behind, and I use my little clips because it's not going to stay in place if I don't. When you do the first row, it looks like it's going to be a disaster, but after you get to the second row, it starts forming its shape. And
so you're actually making the side now.
I'm making the side.
Wow.
And I put plenty, and I push down right here, and I just shape the basket with my hand as I go. Wait a minute, I put that in the wrong place. Let me put that right there. Now this may flip up and smack you, so be careful.
I've been smacked before by a reed.
And you just push it down, and you just weave in and out. Every other one.
Now let me ask you, have you ever gotten pretty far into a basket and then realized that you've made a boo-boo?
Oh yes. And I took it out.
You have to, I guess.
You have to, because I want things.
Right.
I want it to look right, especially if it's something I'm going to be selling. I want it to be right.
Now I know there is a huge market in this area for these homemade baskets. It's just, they're absolutely gorgeous. I can certainly see why. We were talking a little bit before the show, you were talking about how the cost of the baskets, people sometimes, may wonder why the basket is the price it is, and it's because of all the work and the items that go into it.
Yes, and actually you don't get paid for your time when you're doing this. There's just no way.
It's a labor of love.
It is a labor of love. You really have to enjoy doing this in order to do it. Or if you're using it just for function, just because you need stuff around the house like they did back in the 1800s, you just learn how to do it. And I'm looking at that right there. Yeah, I've got that right. Yeah.
Did you learn a lot about the history of the basket weaving and stuff too when you had your classes?
They really didn't talk that much about it. I've probably read more on my own than what they talked about in the class. But if you can just think back to our grandparents and our great-grandparents, and even before then, they had to come up with something. I mean, Moses was in a basket, was put in a basket.
They couldn't go out to the store and just buy a basket.
Exactly, and so they had to weave baskets way back then. So this, this isn't anything new right here. It's been around for hundreds of years, and it's something that I truly love, and anybody can do this kind of craft right here. Anybody can do this.
Had you actually thought about it before you saw the ad for the class?
Yes, actually I had.
So you were pretty excited when you saw it, I imagine.
Yes, and I love baskets anyway, so when I saw that opportunity, I jumped at it.
And now this is just what you would call a standard reed.
Standard reed. This, like I said, comes from Southeast Indonesia, and I don't know other areas down in there, but I definitely know it comes from Southeast Indonesia. And I ordered this through a company out of North Carolina, NorthCarolinaBasketWorks.com, which anybody can go there, and they'll send you a book that has all their supplies in it. And you think a round of this right here for a pound, $6, but after a while it adds up because you can use so many pieces out of that to make a big basket, and then you've got to have more. So it can get as costly as you want. Usually the reed part's not as expensive as ordering the handles that are already made. Some of them are out of leather. I mean, it's real leather. So now right here, I'm going to cut this because I'm at the end, and I'm going to cut it right here and tuck this right there, and then I'm going to pin it or clip it, and then this has formed the very first.
Now, will you end up stapling that or anything?
No.
How does that stay?
It just stays.
It just does?
It just does. It just stays. Now, I won't start at that point again. I will turn around a quarter of the way around the basket, and I'll start on this side. Because if I put it back on that same spot, that one spot's going to get really, really bulky. Now, once I get on the third side, or the third weaver around, I will not have to use these clips at all. That's just to get it started.
Well, now I know that we were talking earlier, and you don't always order your reed. Sometimes you go and chop down your wood yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about that. And is this the white oak?
Yes, ma'am. That is white oak.
That is
a little bit of dark
beautiful.
oak in there too. I pulled my sister-in-law into everything, and there was
partner in crime?
my partner in crime. She's wonderful. Was a basket class, white oak basket class offered in Jamestown, Tennessee, and I said, let's go, and she said, okay. So we drove up there, and a wonderful, wonderful gentleman taught us how to go out and find the right tree with not, didn't have knots in it. And it had to be a certain size because, we didn't want a huge one. So we went through the woods, we found the tree, and we each took turns chopping it. I mean, we chopped it.
So you really did chop down your own tree?
Yes. With, other women,
Right,
but we all took turns chopping that tree down, and
I'd
it
say
took
that was
every
a
one of
picture.
us. Well, we do, and I do have
See.
pictures. I do have pictures.
So you actually cut your own wood.
You cut
for
the
this
tree,
basket.
and then you split that piece of wood in half, then you quarter it, and you keep splitting and splitting and splitting and splitting until you get it down to this size right here. And
Wow. The texture of this is a little bit different.
that's a little bit thicker, and
It
it's
does seem a little
oak,
thicker.
and it's oak, so
that's
it's
beautiful.
harder. It's a harder
That is
type
absolutely
of wood.
gorgeous.
And I carved this handle and did it by hand, and of course you don't leave there unless you have Band-Aids all over your hands.
I know you've got some on today.
Yeah, I cut myself this morning, but
You were
the
talking
rim,
about how you shaved those and made the hooks. And
that's
everything.
one whole piece. That's one piece.
And I'm sorry, you were talking about the rim?
Just this. This is the rim. I had to shave down the edges right here into a point.
Oh, that is something else.
Yes.
That is amazing.
But I do love the handle. And there's lots of, and I made this little insert right here that holds the handle. That was the most fun class.
I'll bet
That
it
was the
was.
most fun. If you ever just want to do something with a bunch of ladies and come out with something functional at the end of the day, you can always go and take a basket weaving class, which I've taught several here in town.
Oh, that's
I've
neat.
taught
We'll have to get
several.
with you on that.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, this has been such a fun project.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in today. We love your baskets, and we can find some up at Cetera.
Yes,
uptown in McMinnville, and also at Highland Rim Music.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have some on display and for sale.
Yes,
Thank you
absolutely.
so much for coming.
Well, thank you for having me.
This has been so much fun. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks very much to our special guest, Mitzi Pierce. I'm Kimberly Vance, and I hope you've been inspired to create your own Handmade Tennessee. If you enjoyed today's show, check us out on Facebook for other shows and information at www.facebook.com/HandmadeTennessee. You can also email us your comments or suggestions to handmadetn@bltv.net.